Thank you everyone for coming to my presentation, cephalopods for multiple clouds. I couldn't bring a cephalopod, but I brought a bear. So the classic way that we used to deploy at Mirantis, and a lot of other customers and vendors are doing the same thing, is to deploy a Ceph cluster together with a cloud. This works fairly well. The downside to it, of course, is that you have, in many cases, very small Ceph clusters. Very small Ceph clusters do not work very well. And you have the life cycle of the Ceph cluster bound to the life cycle of the cloud. And as you all know, the life cycle of Ceph is entirely different from the life cycle of OpenStack. So it doesn't really make all that much sense to have the life cycles bound together. You have limited flexibility, like you have one cloud and another cloud. One cloud consumes unexpectedly a lot of storage. Another cloud does not consume very much storage. So you can, but if the clusters are separate, you cannot actually use it to balance this out. So what can we do about it? As a cephalopod has many tentacles, you should be able to attach a lot of different clouds to your Ceph cluster. But what we need to do that is we need to be able to deploy Ceph as primary storage and an external Ceph as primary storage. So I have one cloud that I build Ceph with, or I build an entirely external Ceph cluster that just happens to be on my storage network. And then when the clouds are coming up, they need to be able to attach the Ceph cluster that is on that storage network to the Cinder and Nova and Glance to the OpenStack projects that are going to consume that Ceph cluster. In Mirantis OpenStack at the moment, that does not work yet. This is slated for MOS 9, and this is why I'm presenting this now to raise awareness about this. But what we are shooting for is not only benefiting from elasticity and a faster, more resilient Ceph, but also easier migration. Imagine the following fact. You have a cloud, you have a new cloud, you want to migrate from one cloud to another cloud. So if you move the data, if you move a petabyte, 2 petabytes, 5 petabytes from one cloud to another cloud, this is going to take a very long time. And while you can do it in the background, you are certainly going to experience network and storage performance impact, because your storage simply can only present that much performance, and because normally nobody runs storage at only 10% where it wouldn't matter. You have storage that is doing something important for you. You have storage that is under stress from instances that require performance from the storage, and you want to be able to continue your production while you're migrating without any noticeable impact. So the idea would be to have the old cloud with the Ceph cluster attached. You attach the new cloud directly to that Ceph cluster, and you define that Ceph cluster as sort of permanent. So what you have to do is to shut down in a single instance or a set of instances that are using storage volumes on the old side. You migrate the entry from the Cinder database from the old cloud to the new cloud, and once that is done, you can launch that instance on the new cloud with the same flavor and the same storage backend, and the whole thing takes a few seconds. If it's automated right, it can take only a few seconds. It's certainly the fastest and least impactful migration. Then you might, instead of right now, a lot of customers want large monolithic clouds. We want 100, 200. What can we do? 1,000 nodes? Can we do 2,000 nodes? But in the future, I see that there's going to be a lot of movement towards smaller clouds, but more of them. So instead of having one cloud that tries to do everything, you have one cloud that does this and one cloud that does that. And Ceph actually supports that quite well, in that it does the in that it allows you to have different pools that are spanning all the disks. So you could have one pool for one cluster, one pool for the other cluster, but still be fully elastic between the two. So you would not lose capacity or performance by attaching that to both clouds. And then, of course, when SSDs are rolling around and the SSDs are coming even in Ceph, then you will see that you have a lot of free IOPS that are not used, and you can put them to better use if you have more workloads that are using this one cluster. Finally, disaster recovery would also be an item that we should look at. So what we still need to do is the primary storage thing. We are currently working on this and are hoping to have that done in Morse 9. We need Ceph discovery and verification. At the moment the cluster is discovered, you can you can see the cluster in a pull-down menu, but it does not actually verify whether it can use the cluster. So there is still some work to be done. And the Ceph cluster verification specifically are also important for credentials. What could go wrong? Network implications. You have to have one storage network. Of course, you have one Ceph cluster, you have one storage network. But in a classic data center setup, you have the same thing. You have a NetApp that serves 500 servers, and it is connected to your storage network that is connected to all those nodes. And separation of data, of course, you can do different pools. You could theoretically try to do the same pool. I would probably not do it unless I want to migrate, simply for separation. And then, of course, the Ceph cluster needs to be scaled to support all your workloads. You cannot just expect it to become faster because more workloads are connected to it. So this is what it looks like in Mirantis OpenStack at the moment. If you use the plugin to attach an existing Ceph cluster to a new Mirantis OpenStack cloud, you see here, this is not really visible on the screen. Here the bottom item, external Ceph. This is where you decide, or where you tell the Mirantis OpenStack to use an external Ceph cluster. Then we have items here. This is the Ceph cluster ID, the IP addresses of the monitors, and it tells it to use a Rados gateway. And there's a number of additional options. This is just a screenshot that I got, so I cannot actually change anything in it. But there are the entries for Cinder and for Nova, if you want to use ephemeral storage for more than one cluster from there. And the Ceph pool name for you can see you can use different pools for ephemeral storage and block storage. Theoretically, also potentially spinning drives versus SSD and so on. Okay, so I think I'm almost at the end of my allotted time, and I would like to open the floor for questions. So I hope that everyone has taken something useful out of this. So, any questions? Yes?
The features to use external Ceph, that's in Mirantis 8 right now?
This is a plugin for Ceph. Yes. The question was, is this available in Mirantis 8 now? This is actually out of a Mirantis 8 deployment. And this is a plugin that you can install into Mirantis 8.